Hi, welcome back to economics, and we will be discussing fiscal policy and trade policy in this chapter. So, in the previous topics that we have discussed, we know that in the macroeconomic scale, ang public sector or ang government uh, participates in the market para i-regulate niya ang and makontrol niya ang price fluctuations or pag-change sa pagtaas baba sa presyo that may lead to inflation. In economics, ang influence sa government sa economy is through revenue and spending, meaning kita and ang paggastos. Mo na siya gitawag nga fiscal policy. So in this chapter, um, atong i-relate ang fiscal policy sa trade policy. Okay? Ang trade policy manggod, it refers to the rules and regulations nga ginahimo o gi-exercise with regard to trade, pakipagkalakalan, more specifically in international trade. Okay, so the government undertakes such policies or naghimo sila ani nga mga policy to achieve a free and smooth trade with other countries. Um, and with the existence of these trade policies, ang governments are able to generate income in the form of tariff revenue. So these terms we will discuss. So let us start with the taxes, tariffs, and their importance. Okay, so let's define tax. Um, tax actually are duties no that are imposed kanang gina-impose sa gobyerno sa atoa on every households and every businesses that we are going to pay. Either we pay it actually in a full year man na siya, yearly, but there are others nga naga-pay quarterly um, or annually. So depende na sa imuha. But those are duties that we are supposed to pay. And the designated government institution that collects these taxes is the BIR or the Bureau of Internal Revenue. So sila nang naga-collect, no, gina-collect nila ang taxes. Sila nang responsible nga magakolekta. So taxes are actually also it also serves as a fuel to finance government spending. Because kung walay makolekt nga tax ang gobyerno, wala siya gamiton pang gasto. 'Di ba? Wala siya gamiton panghimo og tulay, panghimo og schools, pangsweldo sa mga government employees, um, sa pa pagpalit og mga books para sa mga eskwelahan and etc. So that is tax, okay? Tariffs is these are taxes that are charged on either the imported or exported products or goods. Okay, so mo ni say mga kanang tariff ang tawag niya, but actually buwis siya or tax siya para sa mga imported and exported goods. Ang collection sa tariff is done by the Bureau of Customs. So, moagi sa customs, di ba? Pagka nang naay mga ipadala ang mga kababayan, moagi na siya sa customs. Kaya na siya bayaran nga tariff or tax. Normally, the tariffs are imposed as a protectionist policy. Maga-protect siya. Where tariffs serve as barriers to trade and as revenues of the government which we call revenue tariffs. So kung naay mosulod nga mga products sa ato ang nasod, the taxes or the tariff that we collect from them mabilong na siya sa revenue or kita sa gobyerno mo na siya. Ang tariff pod, actually, this serve as a protective barriers for domestic products from their foreign counterparts. So, naay panahon nga naay mga products nga taas og tariff or taas ang buwis para na siya protektahan ang mga local products. Kay kung wala kay ipataw, wala kay i-charge nga buwis sa mga foreign products, mapatay ang imong local products. Let's say for example kanang Goya chocolates, 'di ba? Ang counterpart ana niya kanang mga Cadbury, na mo na siya mga imported nga chocolate. So kung dili na to butangan og tax ang pagsulod sa mga chocolate sa Pilipinas, mapatay ang chocolate industry kung naaman tay chocolate industry sa Pilipinas, di ba? Coffee, may ana, or kanang, let's say for example, kaping barako. Okay, so na ay mga kape pod that are produced from other countries. So, mo na siya, mo nang naay tariff kay para protektahan, ah, aside from revenue siya or kita siya, para gyud na siya protektahan ang mga local products from foreign, no, imported products. So both taxes and tariffs are means to achieve sustainable growth, no. Taxes can balance the opportunities from those who earn more to those who earn less. So ginabalance na niya. Mas dako ang imong tax pag dako ang imong kita. Pag gamay ang imong kita, gamay pod ang tax nga imong bayaran. Taxes can balance opportunities from those who can earn uh, less, especially if more taxes are collected from those who earn higher wages. So, mo nang giingon, pagtaas ang imong sweldo, mas dako po ang imong tax nga bayaran sa gobyerno. And tariffs that are collected as revenues, they also serve as protection for local producers from foreign competitors. So, mo na akong giingon ganina, ginaprotektahan ang mga local products nato. And para ma-level ang playing field in the competition, ang mga foreign counterparts are subjected to barriers like imposition of quota. So gibutangan na sila quota. Let's say for example 100 tons ra ang pwede nga product isulod. So gibutangan na siya quota. And product standards. So dapat na product standards, 'di ba? Na quality standards or product standards before makasulod sa Pilipinas. Mo nang naay mga inspection. I-inspection na sila. This is going to lead to foreign competitors experiencing a drawback, thus protecting our local producers. Okay, so mo na siya purpose sa tariff. And when we say fiscal policy, so in the fiscal policy, you remember the last chapter, we used a water tank to demonstrate the supply of money. This time, we're going to use this as um, what you call that, kanang mag-represent sa tariffs and taxes. So let's say for example, na may ideal level gyud no ang water tank. Ang pipe nga diri sa right side um, would add more taxes and tariffs if ang ang water level is below the ideal level. So for example, kini ang ideal level because this is the going out, no? Kini ang input sa water, kini ang output sa water or kintahay output sa tariffs and taxes. Input sa tariffs and taxes, this is the output for tariffs and taxes. So kung below siya, meaning magkinahanglan kag mag-add kag daghan pa nga tariffs and taxes. So sa himong sa gobyerno mag-increase siya og taxes, mag-increase siya og tariffs para maabot ang say tawag ana ideal level. Pero kung more than pod sa ideal level, so meaning mo overflow po diri ang tariffs ang taxes. Unsa pay buhaton sa gobyerno? Magbawas pud siya og input, no, para maabot ang ideal level or mabalance. Ang ideal level man gud sa taxes and tariffs, kinahanglan siya nga ma-achieve para sa sustainable nga growth, no? Mao na ang gobyerno ang iyang himuon, nagahimo siya og mga policies or fiscal policy to make it balance. What are those policies ngayong gihinahimo? Una, ang tight fiscal policy. Sa tight fiscal policy, the government imposes more taxes and tariffs. So mao na siya kanang nag nag sana siya wala na abot ang ideal level. So, mag-tight fiscal policy siya para ma-add ang taxes and tariffs. Another one is the loose fiscal policy. This time, ang government pod mag-lower siya og taxes and tariffs. Magbawas siya. So that, kay nag-overflow naman para ma-bring down to the ideal level pod ang taxes and tariffs. So, sa tight fiscal policy, yun sa may himuon sa gobyerno in the tight fiscal policy. So, yung himuon is the government will impose more taxes para niya ma-correct ang inflation. And then, kay kung higher taxes manggod, it means nga mutaas po ang spending. And then, um, I mean, magbawas sa spending, which will result also to government, magbawas po og spending ang government, which will also lead to um, which will lead to improvement in our deficit. Pag mayroon tag deficit, ang spending sa gobyerno is more than the revenue. Kana bitong nigasto ka og more than sa imong gikita. So naa kay deficit. So by increasing the tax, by cutting the spending of the government, which will lead to decrease po og spending sa mga consumers, um, ma-improve nato ang atong deficit, mabawasan ang atong pagkalugi, right? In the loose fiscal policy, ang himuon pud sa loose fiscal policy is they are going to decrease, bawasan pud nila ang tax, which will um which will increase, which will and the government will increase their spending so that the people will also be able to increase their spending. Okay mo na siya. So, mo na himon sa gobyerno para i-balance niya, mag-tight siya, mag-loosen siya para lang ma-achieve ang balance. Okay, so let's go to the trade policy and globalization. Okay, our economy, we are now in the globalization, matawag ba natong era. So, ang international trading happens when um, countries develop specialization in the production of goods and services. So, naka-develop na ka og specialization nimo. Let's say, for example, um, kung sa Asian countries na mga agricultural products, 'di ba? O sa mga western na mga technological products. So, nag-develop ng every country og ilang mga specialization. So if the countries have comparative advantage, if you can remember katong comparative advantage nato, let's say for example, ang Pilipinas mas efficient siya mag-produce og agricultural products. Then ang US mas efficient siya mag-produce og technology, di ba? So ang comparative advantage sa Pilipinas is the agricultural product. So mahimo mag-exchange sila so that they will be able to the countries are able to get the things that they don't have. Mo na siya mo nang naay international trading. So for this reason, trading has become a helpful means for countries to acquire things they do not have in exchange for what they have more. So, in exchange sa unsay daghan sa ilaha, makakuha sila og katong mga things nga wala sa ilaha. With the prevalence, with the globalization, on anay comparative advantage, we have the import and export na mo na siya. With the globalization, international trade has become increasingly liberalized. When we say liberalized, meaning open siya, na open, na free. Globalization is actually defined as the integration of national economies into the international economy through, yun sa man, number one, through trade. Okay, so some economists, I mean, by trading na ina-incorporate ang national economy. So dili na lang ang atong concern is ang economy nato, but our economy is already incorporated or integrated in the international economy. Another one is through foreign direct investment. So foreign direct investment, mao ni siyang kadtong mga investors, no, from other countries nga naga-invest diri sa sulod sa Pilipinas. Next is capital flow. Okay, ang pag-flow sa capital from the household to the market, from the market to the from the household to the firms, and from the firms to the household. And migration, another one is technology. Okay, so these are how the globalist, I mean, mao ni ang pagka-integrate, no, sa economy, national economy nato with the international economy. Um, the economic gains of international trade are there are actually three economic gains of international trade. Number one is high level of competition. So we believe that a nation, ang nation daw that are exposed to a higher level of competition is more likely to develop, improve, and survive. Okay? When a country ventures into the production of a good nga giconsider to be expertise niya, it is likely to be efficient, no, in producing such good. So nagkakuan competition. So ang mga countries mag-focus sila dito sa mga things that they are expert, no, they are sana siya efficient. And then the second gain is opportunity cost are minimized or eradicated. So unsa ganitong opportunity cost nagrepresent na siya sa mga kanang potential benefit nga by an individual, by an investor, or by a business nga ma-miss out niya pag ni kana bitong mopili ka kung og alternative. So instead na kintahay, instead nga original nga raw material imong paliton, dito na lang ka sa synthetic or dito ka sa kanang class A mana. So mao na siya opportunity cost kanang ma-miss out nimo. So, certain opportunity costs are eliminated in the production nga numang ma-eliminate man na siya or ma-eradicate, ma-minimize man na siya because you don't have to buy alternatives na. Since naga-focus naman kayo, you are focusing on the field that you are expert on, di ba? So we already have specialization. So nag-specialize ka pag himo og cellphone. So ang imo mga paliton nga product naga-focus na lang sa mga raw material for making a cellphone. Dili na para sa unang, ay dili lang sa ako mopalit ani kay maghimo pa man di ay ko og banig, maghimo pa man di ay ko og basket. So, mo na opportunity cost katong nawala bitaw nimo nga benefit, na miss out nimo nga benefit because nipalit kag lain nga material para sa lain nimong product. But because in the international trade na ana specialization, you can already focus. So ma-eradicate na ang opportunity cost. And third is the expanded market. So you are now able to have an expanded market. Pwede na kang murag ni dako bitaw imong opportunity, ni daghan ang imong customers, ang possible customer, potential customers nimo because the markets are now integrated. So you can already expand to other countries, pwede na ka mag export ano siya. So however, sa mga Filipino presidents sa Pilipinas, they have different viewpoints when it comes to international free trade and liberalization. And in fact, si Carlos P. Garcia, former president of the Philippines, siya tong nagbuo sa policy nga Filipino muna or Filipino first. No, ang Filipino First actually, iyang gi-try to protect ang mga young industries from foreign competition. Mao nang in this policy, um, taas ang tariff sa mga imported products, especially if naa na siya competition diri sa Pilipinas, so that dili mapatay, because the Filipino First is trying to protect the young industries from foreign competition. However, other leaders of the Philippines see this kind of policy as detrimental to development. Marag nakahinder siya sa development. Thus, daghan kay debate, no? Makita ninyo, no to globalization, no to liberalization, kana may nga na daghan mga rally nga na, because lahi-lahi man gud ang atong pananaw sa globalization. Okay, so there are actually um, valid arguments mampod, no? Because there are some problems that are what do you call that, identified, that arise with the globalization. So for example, ang spread of diseases. So um, spread of diseases, pinaka-example na nato ana ang COVID-19, di ba? COVID-19 originated in China. Pero nganong naa naman siya sa Pilipinas? Because we have free access, no? Na natay mga sophisticated, faster nga airplanes, natay daghan klase-klaseng means of transportation, and then because of that, we are being exposed, no, to widespread threat of diseases. Um, dili lang ang COVID. Before paani na H1N1, no, daghan pa yung mga viruses nga na-spread because of kana lagi because of the opening of the ports, no, dali na kaayo ang pag-adto sa lain-laing lugar. Second problem is the degradation of the environment. So makita naman na inyo, environmental degradation na experience ni sa different countries, including us, including the Philippines. Let's say for example, ang volume of rain that the country experienced in the last few years, ingon sila kuan na daw, nagkataas ang volume of rain, mo nang naanay mga landslides, flooding. That's because of forest degradation, kanang pagkawala na sa forest, mining, then quarrying. So mo na siya nag-cost. So nganong naamay nga na, nganong nagaputol man og kahoy, nganong na may mining, nganong ipaspas man ang quarrying. That's because of the demand of globalization, di ba? Other countries do not have forest or trees. So they are demanding for trees. So ang other countries nga na ay mga trees, mag-cut sila trees para mabaligya nila. So instead of, let's say for example sa Pilipinas, mga Pilipino ra ang nanginahanglan og kahoy, this time because of globalization, other countries can already buy our trees. So pwede na nato na siya ibaligya sa laing countries, di ba? So mo na siya dala sa globalization. Another one is the brain drain. Pag may tag brain drain, resulta ni siya sa dili ni siya sa kanang sa pa na siya. Dili gyud ni siya kanang physically nga na drain gyud imong utak, no. Ang pasabot ani is that ang katong mga highly skilled workers nato, katong pinaka bright nato, pinaka maayo nato, are actually working abroad. Mo na daghan kay itag mga abroad. Ang ilang mga host countries, kung asa sila padulong, mo to'y nakinabang sa ilang mga skills, sa ilang mga talents, sa ilang knowledge. No, mo to'y nakinabang. Kay tuwa man sila dito sa nag-migrate man sila or nag-abroad man sila. So that's what we call brain drain. Kaya nga naman, because of globalization, because of the demand of the globalization, the high level of competitiveness, no, mo na siya. And finally, the global drug trade, di ba? So related gihapon ni siya sa virus because of the faster airplanes, daghan kay means of communication or transportation, no? Mo na siyang naga-expand, no? Naga-expand pud ang drug trade. So these are only some of the problems that are um sama na siya, that are brought about by globalization. So mo nang daghay gihapoy mga tao that are against globalization. Okay, so in the Philippines have actually made economic reforms in order for us to be able to sa pana balance our economy, no? And that is done through liberalization para daw ma-develop ang healthy competition at para ma-encourage ang mga improve output of domestic products. So para daw ma-improve, no? Kay since na may globalization, we can already export. So ang atong mga products kinahanglan nato siyang himuong mas nindot, mas maayo, mas pulido, etc. So because of that, the Philippines joined several global organizations, and one of them is the World Trade Organization. So, ang World Trade Organization is an international body that was established for the very purpose of promoting trade liberalization. Okay, so mo na siya i-open niya ang market. And with this, siya ang nag-implement sa GATT or General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. So madungog na nyo WTO, WTO. Ano siya? So World Trade Organization nag-implement siya sa General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. Unsa maning GATT or General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade? This is actually under this agreement, the tariffs and other trade barriers, like for example, kanang mga inspection regulations o kanang mga quota are reduced or ang uban pagipang tanggal para lang maalaw ang free exchange of goods and services among nations. So para wala nay barrier, maka-flow na freely ang exchange of goods and services among nations. So mao na siya naa sa General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. Then the Philippines, sa may gihimo sa Philippines para sa kuan as a member country, sa may atong gihimo, we had to reduce tariffs on agricultural products. So agricultural products, 'di ba sa una sa Filipino first nga kuan ni President Garcia, basically protecting what we have, or local products. So na kung mapansin ninyo, we are agricultural, daghan kay tagbugas, but we are still importing. We are importing rice from Taiwan, from Japan, because that is because of the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. We pledge to abide by that agreement since we are member of the World Trade Organization. So we have to let their products come in. Bisag na atay rice. So we still import rice. Okay? We have to reduce the tariff. So free na silang makasulod. And also we have to eliminate the quotas, import quotas. So sa una naatay quota on certain products. Let's say for example rice nga. Kay daghan man tag rice. So gamay ra atong import, but no, because of that um naga ah, gi-reduce na nato, gi-eliminate nato ang mga import of quotas. And we also lifted some import bans. So katong mga ban nato, katong mga bawal nato i-import, gina-import na pud nato karon. That's still under the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. Okay, and also the Philippines joined ASEAN. ASEAN is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and the members are the Brunei Darussalam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and then recently na-add ang Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam. Okay. One of the objectives of this organization, kay bag-o man ni sa una kay kuan man ta, Southeast Asia, ano? karon I mean mas kuan tong atong organization sa una mas dako mas daghang members member gyapon ta ato, but then this is a new organization which is ASEAN. And the purpose or the objective of this is actually to lower the tariffs among member nations, which is from 12.6% nga tariff, giubos siya up to 1.51%. So dako kay ang bawas para lang ma-facilitate no ang free trade among members that are going to enable them to exchange more goods and services with less nga tax nga bayaran. So as a result, ang mga member nations like us are free to move our goods among ourselves, no? Nag-facilitate na siya sa ASEAN's aim to develop its members' economy. So ang mechanism nga kanang gibuhat sa ASEAN, the mechanism is called loose trade policy or outward looking policy. Okay? So that's the policy nga ginahimo sa ASEAN. Mao nang makadumdum mo flag ceremony na agid tagikantang ASEAN hymn. That's because we are trying to um, kanang to organize para ma-help nato ang each other these member countries no nga naa sa ASEAN. Okay, so um, I have a question that you have to answer. So, what happens if the Philippines does not join ASEAN? Okay, I would like you to write a short um, answer, at least siguro 500 words. What will happen if the Philippines do not or did not join the ASEAN? So, unsay mahitabo? And if you have any questions, you know where to post them.